The tunnel of whispers. How kneeling to feelings make you a puppet. The tunnel is the mind. It is narrow, dark, claustrophic. Inside it, you cannot see reality. You only see the walls the mind has built, the thousand whisper voices, the stories, the feelings. Each voice says, you cannot, you are not ready, you must wait, you might fail, you are limited. Inside this tunnel, everything seems real, urgent, convincing. Your feelings validate it. Fear, hesitation, doubt, they are the darkness itself. You bump into the walls, you stumble, you believe you are trapped. Most people never leave the tunnel. They stay there, thinking the tunnel is the world. The story feels like reality. The whispers feel like truth. They integrate it as self. That is enslavement. That is living as a puppet. Now, here is the crucial point. The tunnel only exists as long as you stay inside it. The moment you act, really act, the tunnel cannot hold you. Action is light, action is movement. Action reveals that the walls were never real. They were projections. The whispers were just echoes. The feelings were illusions. You step out into the open and suddenly you see the whispers for what they are, noise. You see the stories for what they are, fiction. You see your feelings for what they are, signals, not commands. Freedom was always there. The tunnel made you forget it. Action is the exit, the proof, the light. And once you are out, you look back at the tunnel and realize, I was never trapped. I only thought I was. The mind made a cage and I gave it meaning. I was free all along. The tunnel is an illusion created by obedience to feelings and stories. Step into action immediately, unhesitatingly. That is the only way to dissolve the tunnel. Observation, reasoning, feeling, they all keep you inside, only action frees. The tunnel is entirely created by your obedience. It is not out there, it is not imposed by the world. The world is neutral. The tunnel exists because you kneel to feelings, listen to stories, and believe them as reality. Every time you obey a feeling, I am afraid, I cannot, I am not ready, you reinforce the walls of the tunnel. The more you believe, the thicker the walls become, the narrower the space, the darker it feels. Feelings are seductive because they feel intimate, they are yours. But that intimacy is a trick. Feelings are reactive, conditioned, habitual. They are the mind's mechanism to make you believe that limitation is real. You start to integrate the story into your identity. The moment the story becomes you, you are enslaved. The tunnel is alive, moving with you because it is built from your attention and agreement. Now, inside this tunnel, there are whispers. The whispers are subtle, incessant, and clever. One whisper says, remember what happened before. You know you will fail. Another says, better wait, you are not ready. Something might go wrong. Another says, you should be careful. Don't take risks. Play safe. Each whisper is an echo of the past, a projection of fear, a suggestion disguised as advice. Separately, they are small. Collectively, they create the sensation that the tunnel is inevitable, that you are trapped. These whispers feed on your obedience, your attention, your analysis, your emotional reaction. The illusion of the tunnel is this: it feels real because you participate in it. Step back, just observe without acting, and it is still dark. But you have no proof it is real. Step forward, act, and the tunnel collapses. The whispers vanish in the light of action. The walls dissolve. You realize the tunnel was never solid, never real, never outside you. It existed only because you gave it life. The whispers and the feelings are the mind's tools to prevent you from touching reality, from acting, from experiencing freedom. They are masters at persuasion, subtle as air, convincing as truth, but action exposes them. Action shows you. Freedom was always there. The tunnel was an illusion. The whispers were echoes of nothing. The tunnel exists because you kneel to feelings and stories. The whispers, subtle, persistent, seductive, live inside this tunnel. They speak constantly. You cannot, you are not ready. Wait, better be careful. They are clever because they sound intimate. They feel like you. They feel like truth, but they are not you. They are the mind's cage. Now, there is always light at the end of the tunnel, but here's the subtlety most people miss. The light is never out there waiting for you to stumble upon it. It is always present, already here. You cannot see it while kneeling, because kneeling binds your attention to the tunnel. Your focus is on the walls, on the whispers, on the fear. As long as you kneel, you remain inside, lost in the illusion, integrating the story as yourself, reacting from it. That is slavery. Action is the bridge to the light. Action is the only way out. When you act, even once, even minimally, the tunnel cannot hold you. The whispers cannot bind you. The walls dissolve. The light appears, not as a distant reward, but as reality revealing itself. Action is proof that the tunnel was an illusion, that the whispers were just echoes, that the feelings were never commands. So, if you take action, you step out, you see clearly, you realize freedom was always here. The whispers lose their grip. The story of limitation collapses. If you do not take action, you remain trapped. You remain in the whispers. You remain in the tunnel. You integrate the story as yourself. You react from it. And you will remain a puppet to these shadows your whole life. Stop negotiating with the whispers. Stop reasoning with the feelings. Stop giving them life. Step forward, act. That is how the tunnel disappears. The light is not at the end, it is always present. Action simply reveals it. Kneeling keeps you blind, acting awakens you. When you stay in the tunnel of whispers, here is what happens. You operate from false self. The false self is built from the stories you kneel to, from the feelings you obey. It is reactive, limited, conditioned. You think it is you, but it is not. It acts, but it is blind. Every decision, every hesitation, every inaction reinforces the cage. You are enslaved. Kneeling to the whispers is submission. You are bound by fear, doubt, and the illusion of limitation. You are not free to act. The true self, the neutral, spacious, capable self, cannot manifest inside this tunnel. You remain a puppet. You limit yourself in every way. Not just your mind, but your body, your energy, your vision, your potential, all are constrained. The tunnel convinces you that the walls are real. You shrink to fit the cage. You stop experimenting, exploring, creating. You stop stepping into the unknown. You stop growing. The whispers are not only keeping you enslaved, they are starving you of possibility. Now, here is the flip side, action. Action is the antidote. When you act, you bypass the false self. Action does not wait for permission from feelings, from readiness, from certainty. Action exposes the tunnel for what it is, an illusion. Action frees the true self. In action, neutrality, spaciousness, capability, and clarity manifest. You are no longer bound by the story or the whispers. You are no longer a puppet. Action opens the field of limitless possibilities. Once the tunnel collapses, once the whispers are silenced in the moment of doing, you realize everything I thought was impossible is now possible. The world is not against me. My mind stories were just noise. Freedom is here and with it, infinite potential. The tunnel does not merely enslave you psychologically. It confines your body, your energy, your mind, your life. Action is the only escape, the only revelation, the only access to freedom and possibility. Put simply, tunnel plus kneeling is false self, limitation, slavery. Action is true self, freedom, limitless potential. The tunnel is not only whispers, stories, and feelings, it is also comfort, indulgence, pleasure, habits. Bed, entertainment, ease, distraction. They are the soft walls of the tunnel. The mind loves them because they feed the false self. Every time you indulge, you give energy to the stories, to the whispers, to the illusions of limitation. You reinforce the tunnel without even noticing. The tunnel pretends to be safe, cozy, familiar. It seduces you with comfort, so you kneel, so you obey, so you integrate the story as yourself. It is why most people never leave. They are trapped not by force, but by their own attachment to comfort. Here is the brutal truth. You are always free to act, always. Even while the tunnel whispers, even while the mind clings to pleasure, even while fear and hesitation are present, you can step forward. Action does not require comfort. Action does not require permission. Action does not wait for the mind or the feelings to approve. Every action erodes the tunnel. Every step you take in reality, physically, mentally, energetically, exposes the falsehood of the whispers, the stories, the comfort. The walls collapse, the light appears, your true self manifests. So, yes, the tunnel may feel comfortable, seductive, infinite, but freedom is always present, waiting in action. The tunnel is powerless where action walks. Feelings are always trying to make you a puppet, but the truth is, you are always free to take action, no matter how you feel. This is the truth most men never grasp. Feelings are not commands, they are chains. Feelings like laziness, doubt, fear, desire for comfort are always there. They want to make you a puppet. They want to pull your strings, tell you, not now, not today, wait for the right mood. This is their entire game, to enslave you. But here is the essential truth: you are never bound by them, you are always free to act. No feeling, no mood, no desire can force you to stop unless you let it. Action is yours. Action is freedom. Every time you act despite the noise, despite the tug of feelings, you reclaim mastery. You assert yourself as the one who decides, not the mind. You prove to yourself that you are not a puppet. Understand this. The mind will always whisper, always try to enslave, always create stories to make you obey. Your power is in ignoring the whisper and moving anyway. Freedom is not waiting for mood. Freedom is acting while the mind protests. That is the law of life. Feelings like laziness, fear, doubt, boredom, desire for comfort are not you. They are temporary events passing through your awareness like a crowd on the street. But most men believe they are commands, and when they obey them, they become puppets. Here's how. A feeling arises: I am tired. I don't feel like it. I shouldn't do this. Now, the mind spins a story around it. Because you feel this, you cannot act. You are limited. You cannot move forward. If you obey, you become enslaved to the feeling. Every action, every choice is now dictated by your moods. You shrink your world to the size of your thought. This is why feelings make you a puppet. They make you small, they make you reactive, they convince you that your possibilities are limited. But here is the truth: your freedom is always intact. Action does not require mood, desire, or energy. The world does not wait for how you feel. The possibilities around you are limitless, but you cannot access them if you wait for feelings to permit you. So the key is act despite the feeling. Use your mind and body as tools, not masters. The moment you act while the mind protests, you break free from its strings. Suddenly, the infinite becomes visible. Suddenly, your life expands. Feelings enslave you, action liberates you. Limitless possibilities exist the moment you stop obeying the puppet strings and move. The mind is a crowd of whispers. Thousands of voices arise constantly: fear, doubt, regret, desire, laziness, comparison, worry. Each one is trying to convince you that you are limited, that you cannot act, that you must obey. Most men hear these whispers and believe they are themselves. They pass, they obey, they surrender. And just like that, they become puppets of their own mind. The crowd pulls the strings and they dance without realizing it. Understand this: the voices are external to your true self. They have no inherent power. Their only power comes from your willingness to obey them. The moment you recognize them as noise, as a passing crowd, something changes. You see the story for what it is. You see the puppet strings, and then you choose action anyway. Action is the only thing that breaks the string. Action is the only proof that you are free, that you are the master. The moment you move despite the whispers, the infinite becomes visible. You are no longer a puppet, you are the one who decides. Whispers will always come, that is their nature. Freedom is acting despite them. Power is refusing to be pulled into the story. Mastery is moving while the mind protests. Your mind produces a constant crowd of voices: fear, doubt, desire, laziness, regret, comparison. Each one is loud, persuasive, insistent. Most men believe these voices are themselves, that these thoughts and feelings define reality, and because they obey them, they become slaves to their own mind. But here's the truth: the voices are not you, they are external events happening within your awareness. They have no inherent authority. They do not command your action. They do not create your reality. They are simply noise. Their power exists only if you grant it to them. The moment you say, I will act despite you, the voices lose control. You stop being a puppet. You reclaim mastery. You assert that action, not thought, defines reality. Think of it like this: the mind whispers, stop, wait, I am scared, I am tired. If you obey, you shrink your world, you limit your life, If you act anyway, you expand it infinitely. The voices are powerless unless you let them hold the reins. How you feel is irrelevant. Your moods, your mental weather, the so called state of mind, they are nothing but passing clouds. The man who waits for the right mood will die waiting. The mind whispers, "Not today, I am tired, I don't feel like it." This is the mind asking to remain the master. When you rise and do what you must, regardless of mood, regardless of internal chatter, you break the mind's tyranny. Energy is not what you wait for, energy is what is generated by action. When you sit, energy drains. When you move, energy appears. This is not philosophy, this is reality. Mood is the biggest scam of all because it keeps men enslaved to their own thoughts and feelings. The man who becomes free does not ask, "Do I feel like it?" He simply does it. The use of the body and mind as tools is the only freedom. When they become your masters, life is misery. When they are used, life is clarity. Stop consulting your mood. Get up, work. That is the way. The mind whispers, "Not today, I am tired, I don't feel like it." This is the mind asking to remain the master. The mind does not want to be used as a tool, it wants to dictate the terms of your life. Every time you obey the mind's whisper, "Not today, not now, we are tired, we are not in the mood," you strengthen its position as the master. You reinforce the idea that the mind is the king and you are its servant. The mind loves this because now it knows it can control you with a simple thought, a simple feeling. When you ignore this whisper and you work anyway, you flip the order. You are saying to the mind, "You are not my master, you are my servant." You do not decide when I decide when I act. You can scream, you can complain, but I will not obey you. And something very subtle happens when you do this. The thought loses its power. The next time it comes, it is weaker. Over time, the mind learns, "This man does not obey me blindly." This is what freedom is. You stop being a slave to your thoughts, feelings, and moods. So, when you're working and a thought says "not today," recognize it as a trick. It is not the truth, it is an attempt by the mind to remain your master. You do not need to fight it, argue with it, or suppress it. You simply see it for what it is, a whisper, and you work anyway. This is the essence of freedom. You have been taught all your life that you must wait until you feel right before you act, that you must wait until you have enough energy, until the mood is good, until the mind is clear. This is a great lie. Energy is not a gift, it is a byproduct. Energy is not something you wait to receive, it is something you create through movement. Sit long enough and you will feel more tired. Move and the body wakes up. This is why the man who acts first, without consulting mood, discovers that the energy appears as he works. Action creates its own fuel. Mood is the biggest scam. Mood is a trick of the mind. The mind says, "We must wait for inspiration. We must wait until we feel good." This is how it keeps you idle. This is how it keeps its throne. A man who lives by mood is a man in chains. He is a prisoner of weather patterns in his head. Freedom comes when you see mood as irrelevant noise. You stop asking yourself how you feel before doing the work. You simply work and allow mood to catch up later or not at all. Freedom is not about doing whatever you feel like. Freedom is the power to act regardless of how you feel. The body and mind are tools. They are instruments you have been given. When they dictate your life, there is misery. Because thoughts are chaotic, feelings are unstable, and moods are unreliable. But when you use them, as a carpenter uses a hammer, as a warrior uses a sword, clarity appears, peace appears. Because now you are in charge. You are no longer a servant to the voices in your head. The man who rises above mood, who acts despite tiredness, despite thoughts, despite resistance, becomes unstoppable. His life is no longer run by the weather of the mind, it is run by what must be done. This is the only true freedom a man can know. Nothing real comes from mood, nothing real comes from feeling. Your mood, happy, sad, tired, lazy, is irrelevant to actual work. It is noise, a trick of the mind to avoid effort. Wait for the right mood is waiting for a ghost. Nothing substantial, nothing real will arrive if you wait. Real results, clarity, energy, mastery, progress do not emerge from how you feel, they emerge from what you do. Most people think, "I will work when I have energy." This is backwards. Energy is not a precondition, energy is a byproduct. It is created by moving, acting, and using your mind and body. Action begets energy, not the other way around. So when your mind whispers, I don't feel like it, understand it is lying. The only path to real energy, clarity, and freedom is to act anyway. Energy does not arrive before work, it is born in the act of working. Energy is not a gift you wait to receive. Energy is created. It is forged in the doing. You act, the mind and body wake. You move, momentum builds. You work, focus sharpens. Energy is a child of action, not a parent. Most men live in the opposite lie. I will work when I feel it. They wait and they waste their lives. The free man acts regardless of mood, regardless of desire. He does not ask permission from feelings. He does not negotiate with comfort. He moves, he works, he creates, and in that he is powerful.